You know, I never thought ordering dinner could get someone arrested. But that's exactly what happened in my little neighborhood last spring, and somehow, I was right in the middle of it. I had just moved into this place called Maplewood Terrace, a perfectly trimmed, painfully quiet suburb where everyone's mailbox matches and the grass is all cut to the same exact height. The kind of place that tries so hard to look peaceful it starts to feel unnatural. I work from home, I code all day, and honestly, cooking isn't my thing. So yeah, I order takeout more often than I should. Which, apparently, is a federal crime around here, at least according to my neighbor, Linda Draper, the self-proclaimed guardian of Maplewood's Homeowners Association. Linda's the kind of woman who can make a smile look like a threat. She's in her early 60s, always wears pastel sweaters, and her haircut, this stiff, blonde helmet, never moves, not even in a storm. I didn't know much about her at first, just that she ran the HOA with an iron grip and a clipboard that could probably file police reports by itself. Anyway, one night, after pulling an all-nighter on a project, I decided I deserved a real meal. Steak, mashed potatoes, a bottle of red wine, the works. I placed the order, kicked back on the couch, and waited. The app said delivered 10 minutes later, but no one knocked, no doorbell, nothing. I opened the photo from the driver and froze. My food was sitting neatly in front of Linda's teal front door. At first, I thought, okay, simple mistake. So I walked over, still trying to be nice. She opened the door before I even knocked, like she'd been waiting. The smell of my steak hit me in the face, and there she was, smiling like a villain from a soap opera. Hey, I think my dinner got dropped off here by accident, I said, pointing toward the photo. Oh, dear, she said, not missing a beat. I'm afraid you're mistaken. Deliveries after 6 p.m. are against our HOA policy. I've already disposed of it properly. I blinked. Disposed of it? Yes. Food waste attracts raccoons. You'll receive a written warning tomorrow. And then she shut the door. Just like that. I stood there, speechless, smelling my own dinner from behind her door. The next morning, sure enough, there it was, an official HOA violation letter, signed by Linda herself. I checked the bylaws. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, about food deliveries. But the thought of picking a fight with the neighborhood queen wasn't exactly appealing. I figured I'd let it slide. Except it didn't stop. Every time I ordered food after that, it went missing. Sometimes the driver said a woman told him I'd canceled. Once, a guy said my wife picked it up. I don't even have a girlfriend, let alone a wife. Over a few weeks, I lost almost $300 in stolen dinners. So I decided to test a theory. I installed a doorbell camera, high definition, night vision, motion alert, the whole deal. I didn't even have to wait long. The next evening, I ordered pizza. The footage caught her, Linda, bathrobe on, hair in curlers, sneaking up to my porch like a raccoon in pearls, taking the box and walking away like it was her God-given right. That's when I realized this wasn't about food. It was about control. She wasn't protecting the neighborhood. She was making sure everyone knew who ran it. So, I did what any rational, hungry man would do. I set a trap. The following Friday, I placed a massive order from a fancy French restaurant downtown. Total bill, $512. I added wine, dessert, everything. But this time, I parked my car down the street, sat by my window, and waited. When the delivery driver arrived, Linda came strutting out like she'd been summoned by the HOA gods. Community regulations require me to accept all deliveries, she said, waving her clipboard. The poor driver just handed everything to her, didn't even question it. I didn't move. I just called the police. Yeah, I said to the dispatcher, trying to sound calm. My neighbor's been stealing my food deliveries. Tonight's haul? About $500. And I've got it all on video. 20 minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled up, lights flashing quietly. I stood by the window, sipping water, watching like it was a live show. The officers knocked on Linda's door. She opened it, looking polite at first. Then her face changed the moment she saw the uniforms. Her hands started moving fast, her mouth even faster. I could tell she was pulling out every HOA excuse in the book. One officer came to my house next. Your neighbor claims she was acting under HOA authority, he said. I almost laughed. I showed him the bylaws on my phone. No rule against deliveries. Then I played the doorbell footage. Every time she took my food, every lie, every fake excuse. His expression shifted from neutral to annoyed. Value of the order? He asked. $512.60, I said, including an $85 bottle of wine and a $100 steak. He nodded, said, "Wait here," and went back to her house. I watched as Linda's arms started flailing. And then, click, handcuffs. I'm not proud of it, but I might have smiled a little. Later, an officer came back for my statement. "She's being charged with grand larceny," he said. "Anything over $500 is a felony." He looked up from his notes. "We found your food in her fridge." The wine was still on the counter. For once, I had nothing to say. Word spread faster than wildfire. The next evening, the HOA called an emergency meeting. The room was packed. People who never spoke above a whisper were suddenly ready to riot. One by one, neighbors stood up and shared their stories. Linda cutting down someone's tree, finding another family for sidewalk chalk, even threatening a retired couple for hanging Christmas lights too early. When it was my turn, I didn't say much. I just played the footage on the projector, the same clips I'd given the cops. The gasp said everything. By the end, the board voted unanimously to remove her as president. A quiet man named George, the vice president, said they'd start an audit of HOA finances immediately. 2 days later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it, and there she was. Not the polished, smug Linda I knew, but a tired, pale woman holding a thick envelope. Her hair was messy, her voice barely above a whisper. "My lawyer says I have to make restitution," she said. "This covers everything you lost, plus interest." I took it but didn't open it. "Thank you," I said. She looked at me, eyes watery, desperate. "You don't understand," she said softly. "I gave everything to keep this place in order. The rules, the standards. If I lose my license, I lose everything." For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "I never wanted this to get that far," I said. "I just wanted to eat my dinner in peace." She tried to speak again, but then my phone chimed. Delivery notification. I smiled. "Excuse me," I said gently. "That's my lunch, and I think it's actually going to make it to my door this time." She left without another word. Funny thing is, the neighborhood's been a lot quieter since then. People talk to each other more. No one glares at delivery drivers anymore. And every Friday night, you can smell takeout all up and down the street. Sometimes I wonder if Linda really believed she was doing the right thing, or if she just couldn't stand not being in control. Maybe both. But in the end, the rule she broke wasn't about food or policy. It was about respect. And if you've ever lived in a community with one of those power-hungry HOA folks, you probably know exactly what I mean. So what do you think? Was she just enforcing order, or did she finally get what she deserved? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me which side you're on. And if you've got a crazy neighbor story of your own, trust me, I want to hear it.